Hi, in this short video I'm going to show you how to use the VBvisual 3D plants that are part of Vectorworks. The tool is found here in the visualization tool set, and it's been quietly in Vectorworks for a number of versions, but was put in there without a great deal of fanfare. You may have tried the tool in the past and seen how you can put one of these two sample plants that are provided into Vectorworks very easily. And what we're actually seeing here is a low polygon realistic 3D model of the tree. So it's fully in the round, as you can see, meaning that as opposed to some of the provided image prop objects that also come with Vectorworks Landmark or Designer. We'll try one here. They work in a somewhat different way. Now this is a big plant. That looks similar and also very realistic. The difference is that the image prop is a flat image with the background taken away. And so while the two look fairly equivalent from this view, all I'd have to do is tip it up and you start to see where the difference comes in. Because really what happens is that image is always in elevation and always turned to the view of the camera or your viewpoint. So these are a little bit more versatile in that regard. And I'd like to show you how to integrate them into your own 3D work. So, to begin, the tool is found here, and any loaded plants are found in this menu. I'd like to show you a couple of ways you can acquire more plants. The first way that you can get additional plants is if you're a customer of Vectorworks Service Select. We have a free download of 41 additional VBvisual plants. So here I've gone to the home page of the Resolve Software Solutions Service Select page, and I'll simply go to the download section. Here are all the various libraries you can download as a Service Select customer, and down just a little ways here are additional VBvisual plant objects. So I'll click to download them. With your download completed, go to the Downloads folder on your computer and find the VBvisual Plants folder that's been created. Inside it you can see further folders, one for each of the trees that you're downloading. So installation is a pretty simple process. In another window here I've got my Vectorworks 2014 application folder. So on the Macintosh, of course, it's under the Applications folder. On Windows it would be C Drive and Program Files, Vectorworks 2014. Under Libraries and Defaults you find all of the so-called default content that comes with Vectorworks. And if we scroll down a bit, we see VBvisual Plant, and sure enough there are the two plant types that we had in Vectorworks when I showed it to you just a moment ago. All that's required is for you to take now all of these and move them into this folder. With the additional plants now installed, you need to quit Vectorworks and relaunch it in order for them to be available here at the VBvisual Plant tool. So with that done, you can now see that I have a bunch of new selections. I've already got a couple textures in of the same name, so it's asking me what I want to do with textures of identical names. And we'll just stick in a couple of examples here and do a quick OpenGL render. So now you're ready to go with a much more complete selection of plants. For architectural users who wish to use some of these plants in conjunction with their designs, this might be really where you stop, because the plant can be just used as is. For landmark users, you might also examine whether or not you'd like to integrate these 3D plant images with your landmark plant objects. So let's look a little bit more at how you want to do that. I'm going to switch back to a plan view. And look at some of the generic plant graphics provided with Landmark. So let's take, for example, this shrub definition, or at least shrub graphic, and I'm going to put it together with this blue elder VBvisual plant. The process would look something like this. I'll edit the definition, change the spread and height to suit the plant. That's a bit more like it. Now, if I tip this up into 3D, you can see that the generic plant graphic has been provided with an image prop, just so that there's something there. But the assumption, of course, is that as you build your own plant library, you're going to turn this into specific plant information and plant graphics, both in 2D and 3D. And of course, what happens is the image prop just isn't as flexible in some types of views as is the VBvisual plant, as we saw a little bit earlier, because the image prop is a flat picture. So, back to plan view. Here's how I put them together. Once again, I'll edit the plant definition. This time I'll edit the 3D graphics. There's the image prop that came with this generic plant definition. I'll delete it. I'll put in my new VBvisual plant as part of the 3D definition of the symbol and exit. And looks like I've got a little bit of a problem. The top plan view shows the top plan view of the VBvisual plant as well. So in most circumstances that's just great, but if you do want to put it together with your plant definition, and then of course you don't want these two things overlapping. As you can see, it's fine in 3D, but in 2D no good. So here's where you've got to look at what's been happening behind the scenes as you've been using these plants. When placing the VBvisual plants, it makes on its own a symbol folder where it puts in a definition of each plant type, resolution, season, and size. And if we go in and look at this, we see that it's a hybrid symbol, and that if I was just to edit that symbol, I see that the 2D portion of the symbol is not actually a rendered view of the plant, but it's just a bitmap object. So if I delete the 2D portion and then exit, first of all I get a warning. You have converted the hybrid symbol into a 3D symbol. Do you want to continue? Yes. We know what we're doing here, so that's just fine. Now I have the sketchy 2D graphic of the plant, but in 3D I have the complete VBvisual image, and it is got all the flexibility of being a full 3D model. Now here's a few things to keep you out of trouble with the use of many of these VBvisual plant objects. First of all, here's that hybrid plant object I made with the 2D graphics and the VBvisual plant for the 3D definition. One thing you'll have to watch out for if you use this method is this. I'm going to flip to top view, and I see that actually I've also got some more of these same VBvisual plants showing up here in 3D, but I didn't see them in 2D because I took away the 2D bitmap to fit it with my plant. So, long story short, look for any strays that you might still have and get rid of them, and decide you're either going to use the bitmap view of them or the 2D landmark version of it, but probably not both. Second thing is the definitions. Here I've made a small forest of trees, 100 objects, and the rendering time between low and high could be substantially different. And to demonstrate to you why that is, here's the two definitions. So the low, if I go into the 3D object and I select everything, I've got 2,422 3D polygons in the 3D definition of this symbol. So 2422. In the high, I've got 4,698 3D polygons. Almost twice as many. So multiplying that up by, in this case, 100 is going to make a substantial difference, particularly in final RenderWorks or custom RenderWorks modes. And I think that the best advice, therefore, is that you're going to use these VBvisual plants sparingly. You're going to use low resolution unless they are absolutely in the foreground and you need the high resolution for a particular view. And where it's practical and they're in the background and so forth, image props are still going to be more effective in terms of memory and overall rendering speed, where the particular quality of these plants is not needed. So those are all things that should help you stay out of trouble with rendering and the use of many of these objects. As you begin to integrate these VBvisual plants into your own presentations, you may find you want a larger set of plants to work with. If that's the case, you'll go to their online store, use this address, resolve.rendermall.com. That's the special Resolve Software Solutions version of their store for the Vectorworks plants. And going through that will be good for us, gives us a little piece of the sale. From this you can pick any of their particular plant sets, or if you want the entire thing, you can pick that. And just like any other online store, you choose the object, put it in your cart, arrange for your payment details, and you'll have it delivered to you electronically.